Well, hello everyone. It's Elaine here again, the petite. Sorry about that. I didn't know if I was a bit skew-whiffy. I hope you're all well today. If you're new here, welcome. I tend to ramble on about fashion and retirement life and life over 60. I can talk about anything, throw subjects at me. I think I could come up with something. And if you're one of my subscribers, and my subscribers are growing by the day, well, thank you very much and welcome back. So I did have something filmed for today, and then when I went to sort of edit it last night, I just had all sorts of problems. I don't know, I might have mentioned this before, but my husband bought me one of the DJI cameras for my birthday, and I've been using it, and it's okay, but I've struggled with it. I've struggled getting photos off it, and I think I've cracked it. And then next time, as he said, it's like two steps forward, one step back. And last night I had done a video last week for today, but somehow it's got, I don't know what I've done. I managed to transfer it over, and then it doesn't play. So there it goes. So instead of what I was going to do, which I will try and put right again, and it was a haul of Bath and Body Works and Sephora. So he said, we're going to have a little chat again. I'm really sorry I'm doing this on the hoof, but actually it's something I've been thinking about, and it's something that I think is very, very personal to me, and hopefully some of you will get something with it. So we're going to be talking about things that nobody tells you about life in your 60s. So I'm 65. I can't believe I've got here. In my head, I think I'm still about 40. If you keep me looking down, I've got notes. I've even got a highlighter pen. I look like I'm businesslike and I know what I'm doing, but if you know me, I'll stumble over something. So yeah, just about, especially if you're about to turn 60, some people struggle with that age. I have, friends who've a little bit, and you want to know, some of the things that people, I wish somebody had told me. But having said that, I haven't struggled with my 60s. I've very much liked it. But some of the things you do, this is an honest thing about my life in my 60s. Maybe you can relate to it, maybe you've got different things. So I think the main thing that I've found about being 60 is I've loved it and I care less. It's just wonderful. You stop worrying so much about other people's opinion. And I used to be very I think I was a people pleaser. I still am to a point, but not to the sense that I was before. I I think you get some wisdom and maturity, and you think I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And if I'm not your cup of tea, and you don't really like me, and I'm a bit giddy, or I'm a bit, I don't know, juvenile in some of my thoughts and some of my actions, I don't care. I'm happy with me. I'm happy with where I am now, and that's all. And my husband, I've got family who I hope like me. I think they do, and that's what matters. When I was younger, I was always worried about trying to fit in. Probably go back about this because I said this when I was talking about why we downsized. I didn't have the best upbringing, and this is not a sob story. But my brother was 11 years older than me. I spent a lot of time on my own. My dad worked away. My mum was a bit inadequate for lots of other reasons. And I never felt like I fit in. I never felt like I fit in anywhere, really. Spent lots of time on my own, reading, and I had a lot of anxiety. I think it's fair to say I was very, very anxious, particularly when it came to secondary school. When you get the youngsters saying today, oh, it's my mental health, it's your mental health. I think it was a total screw up. I really do. I think I was a total screw up. I know in my secondary school days, when I'd get to the front door, I'd have to run back and be sick because I was so nervous, so anxious. My friends' parents used to take me away. And I remember in the morning, anxious, be sick. When I started to go out to clubs, I'd be nervous, nervous, nervous. I think I had the worst mental health, and I think there was other things that went on in my background, and I didn't fit. I didn't really know how other families behave. I think if you find that if your family's not 2.4 children and a pony, I think you don't really know what other people are like. So I never felt a fit, and it took me a while to fit in. Then when I got to be a nurse, I was okay, but you're still trying to fit in with the norms within that environment. But now I'm 60, I'm me, and I quite happy where I am. And I think I always use the word liberating in things, but it is liberating. You are what you are. And I'm proud of myself with everything that went on in the past, that I am where I am now, and I do like what I am. Um, you wear what you want and you say what you think. Well, you have to be careful what you say, what you think. Again, I'm quite blunt Mancunian. Um, I think maybe being a nursing background, some people I've got friends who are obviously lots of friends who were nurses and midwives, etc. There are two types of us, I think. They're the very soft spoken, how are you, empathetic, very sort of more serious approach. And then there's somebody like me. We have a graveyard toilet humour. We have to find a bit of humour in every situation, no matter how dire it is. And we're used to saying things as they are. Really, you can soften it up to say how it is, but you know things need saying sometimes, and it's obviously delivery is the greatest thing. So, but I still got friends who sometimes think I'm a bit blunt, but hey, sorry. And when you say you wear what you like, you don't go mad. I mean, I do know some women that have gone for colour and flounces and colour tights and dyed hair. I'm not quite, I'm not there. I'm not that yet. But, you develop your own style. Do you know what I mean? I think I used to wear heels always in it because I was short. I always thought I needed that extra inch or something like that. And of course, John's 6'1", so I always wanted heels and that. But now, comfort. I live in trainers. This trend that's been out for the last sort of couple of summers is where you wear white trainers with everything, with dresses and everything. Oh my God, that was fantastic. And the white trainers, and I've had smart ones, hotter shoes, really comfortable, but smart. They've been fine for me. I think that's a great comfort. But I still don't mind not wearing comfortable shoes and trainers, and I wouldn't wear some of the things that I've got friends who, when we go out, one of my friends similar age still always wear the heels and that. I can't do it. I'd trip and break my neck. I just can't do it. Um, so as I say, the other one of your points is that your style evolves. It doesn't disappear. You don't not become stylish, but you just change a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to go out in the latest trends that you used to do. I remember at the era of Grease, I used to have the poured in black lycra trousers, a bit like Olivia Newton-John, and the boob tubes and everything. It's not a good look, is it? At our age, you want to hide your arms and everything, but you still want to maintain your own style, and you dress for yourself, and you have a variation of what your friends do or your peers wear. Do you know what I mean? I wear a lot of jeans. You might have seen, if you've seen any of my, especially like say my recent Bon Marché about the jeans video. I do wear a lot of jeans. I like a jeans, a jacket, a blazer, smart top, nice handbag, earrings, jewelry. That's that's my look. Whereas I've got friends who wear dresses a lot, floaty dresses, long dresses, and that. I'm a bit more tomboyish, but you dress for yourself and not for trends. But within that comfort brings you confidence. You're not worried that, oh, if I walk about in these heels, what if I trip on the steps? Or what? I mean, I can trip on anything. Anyway, that's another thing. That's arthritis. But you're very conscious of what like. Do I look like them? Do they look better in that outfit than me? Whereas now you don't, and because you're comfortable and feel comfortable, then I think that brings you confidence, which I think elevates your style, because that's what you do. I mean, I'm very much into, because I said, because of the menopause and being hot, I very much are into like layers, t-shirts, and a cardigan, and like you say, a scarf. I've got a light scarf or whatever. Now I've got other friends who think cardigans are really all womanish, and they'll wear a sweatshirt or something, or a jumper. But I must put this pen down. It's a bit irritating. Sorry. I don't do that. I'm too hot. Otherwise, I'd be having it on, off, on, off, on, off. I do have some sweatshirts. I've got some new ones for this season, but that's my style. I am a cardigan, but I try by using my accessories, handbag, etc., to make it not look a frumpy grandma cardigan. But I'm comfortable. So, like I say, you've seen me do the Bon Marché. I've now discovered they're my great a great brand for me now. But I always feel comfortable in, I think Next, you'll see I've got an awful lot of clothes from Next. Um, I think you can be stylish and age appropriate without being frumpy or a bit mutton dressed as lamb, really. I do like their clothes. Um, that's one of my probably my go-to brands. I'm not averse to it. I've got into Vinted and Temu, Shein, um, get some things like that. So they're probably me go-to is or loose trousers or something like that. The other thing about like your style, I would never have. I've always had light brown hair, and then as it was starting to go a bit grey, I went to sort of light, like a dark blonde, and I always had it a bit. Well, I used to have very short hair younger. I like short hair. I, I think to me, some of the most attractive women are women who have short hair. That's just a personal thing. Who you can see actually more of the beauty, whereas they're not enhanced by long locks and things like that. If I take somebody like Charlize Theron, the actress, when she's had short cropped hair, I think she's lovely. Halle Berry, I do like a pixie look, a cropped hair. I mean, obviously Twiggy was one of the first to do that. So I would never. So I always had dark hair. But when my hairdresser was sort of, she's also one of my best friends. When she said, "Do you know your hair's getting lighter and lighter and lighter? Do you want to try it without hair dye?" And I jumped at the chance because when I was like in my 40s, my dream was, I said, oh, I always want to have like beach blonde cropped hair. I think it's super cool. I mean, now it's more out of necessity and it's what nature has given me. But I would never, when I was at work or dare to go white, grey. And now to embrace that, I don't want to look an old lady, even though I am. I don't want to look an old lady. So I then styled it up a bit. So I got the dark, the heavy, the funky glasses. I start to wear sometimes a red lipstick a lot, a dark lipstick. So this is my style. And when I meet people, like say who haven't seen me for a bit, they go, "Is that your hair now?" And a lot of people go, "Do you know what? I wish my hair was like that." So this is a totally transformation for me, a new me that I would never have done. I would never, I don't think, have walked into work after my days off looking totally different to how I went away the weekend before. I wouldn't have done it. Now I'm like, hey, this is me. So you do sort of change your style. Another thing that we said is that was thinking about is that your friendships change as well. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. You have people, you see sort of quiz things, something like if you do social media, excuse me, have you still got any friends that you went to school with? Have you had friends for 50 years, etc. Here we go again, got the juice. And it's like, excuse me, it's like a badge of honor, isn't it, that I'm so loyal, I've kept my friends for a long time. But, things do change and people do change. And I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong that if you sort of drop some of your friends off along the way. I mean, I can think of some naturally just drift away anyway that you were very friendly with. Somebody I was very, very close to at work. And when I gave up work and she was still working and then she got a new relationship and things had changed. And we used to ring each other every day. We just don't do that anymore. But I know she's still there. And I know in an hour of need, she'd turn up. And if she was in an hour of need, I'd turn up. And I don't not like her. And I don't think she doesn't like me anymore because we don't have that. It's just, things evolve. And I think that's it. Sort of they drift away, move away, etc. And then you've got others that you grow closer to. So I've got a couple of friends that one is now my hairdresser and one of my other best friends who I met through my husband worked with her husband. And I've known them over 20 years. And we've got closer. I think now because we've all got a little bit easier in our own life, we're more likely, we'll go for a weekend away about every 18 months. We'll probably go on a city break or something. And we might not go out every week with each other, but we meet together on a deeper level because we've got a little bit more money and freedom and we're not hounded by work. So we've got a lot closer than we were before. But I've got new friends. I have got a close bunch of 3-4 friends I've probably known about 15 years, but we've got closer during. I've been retired. I was lucky to retire at 55, 10 years, and they really are close friends, new friends, but we've got very similar. We share the same hobby. We've got similar outlook. We laugh at the same thing. And I've got these new friends. Now, I have got another friend who made a comment that, oh, you're always with these new friends now. You don't have time for me. Well, it's not true. It's not that I don't have time for them, but maybe I don't want time with them. Because I saw something that said, like, you do value quality over quantity. Now, I've got a friend, she was a colleague. We met at work. We've probably been friends, 40 years, something like that. But we're very different. We're very different. She's very still almost the person I knew when we first met, whereas I think I've had a character transformation. I think I'm this person that's probably while I was working was I wanted to be that person, but you had confines and restrictions, and like you say, you didn't have the confidence. And I just think I've probably grown at a faster rate than her, and maybe I'm being very, very arrogant by saying that, but I think I've grown at a faster rate than her. You know, things we used to do that interested me years ago don't interest me now. I've moved, I've grown. I'm very much a dabbler, and I always want to find something new, do something new, try something new. I think there's a whole world out there. There's a whole world. I've been like I believe in lifelong learning. I've done my nursing degree. I've got a master's degree, but I like to learn everything. And I think I love nothing better than learning and new things. And so I think that changes you. You know, you begin to invest a little bit more in yourself and in things that have probably interested you. And yeah, and some people just don't bring you joy anymore. You feel like, oh, they just, babe, what was that you doing? Why did you do that? Where are you going now? And I don't like that. It's like, no, 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 no. Just you live your life, I'll live my life, and you don't bring me joy anymore. And that's a really, really brutal thing to say. And I think like friendships as well. One thing I've got to say is, like, I'm retired and now John's retired as well. I think you really find out if you and your husband or your partner are truly compatible after you're together now. Because when you think about it, I might have only seen a husband, John, a few times a week, because he did shifts at one night, at 1 week. One time in our life, I did shifts. I was always on shifts. I had a few years of doing Monday to Friday. I was a manager of a special care, of a neonatal unit. I was a manager, and I worked Monday to Friday. Do you know what? It was boring. It was boring. You moan about nights, you moan about working at weekends when all your friends are off, but Monday to Friday is awful. When do you go to the dentist? When do you get your hair done? Because you don't want to go at weekend. There's precious days where you found shifts was a bit easier. So John and I used to be ships that passed in the night. The person who benefited most from that were our dogs. We've had 2 dogs during our marriage, Paddy and Murphy. They benefited because there was nearly always somebody in the house. So you're away from each other a lot. We socialise things differently. But you know what? Now we're together. I mean, a lot of this came during lockdown as well. It was like an enforced togetherness, even though he was going to work. We now realise that we do still like each other. We still laugh every day. We respect each other's sort of boundaries. Like, he likes to watch certain things on the telly during the day and I don't. So I might be fiddling around in here. I enter competitions. I've said it's a huge hobby. This is where my closest friends have come from. We all enter competitions together. So we've got a similar mindset. We don't mind being a bit zany. And so, then usually about 3-4 o'clock, we both end up in the lounge, and then we sit and we chat and we watch telly and, have a lot of quality time together. So yeah, I think I now find out that we are compatible, and despite all the differences over the year, we still laugh each day. Absolutely laugh, and we laugh at the stupid things. So that's something you learn in your 60s, and I think that's it. You do realise like who you are and who is most important. Well, your energy shifts now. Come on, let's be sure about this. Your energy shifts now. Yeah, I don't know if it shifts or whether you're not you're probably not as energetic as you were before. I mean, like I said, I'll go on and on and on about my back pain and things like that. So you have to do things a lot more slower. I used to be up in the morning. I used to be up, out with the dog, walk the dog, and I'd shower, do my hair, makeup, walk the dog, put something on in the slow cooker for tea perhaps, and be in work for 7. It was go, 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 go. If I was on an early shift. But now I like a slow, lazy morning. I like to, you know, I have started waking up a lot early, but then I'll go in the lounge, I'll get a cup of tea, I'll get my tablet out, I'll get my book out, and I'll probably take at least an hour. If I have to like get up and out in the morning, it's like I worry about it. I think I don't know how I'm going to do it. And I always say, I don't know how I ever work. I don't know how I ever had those strict regimes and time plans. I feel one of the things you learn in your 60s, you don't have to be a perpetual moment all the time. Don't beat yourself up about it if you're not on the go. And I think that's something that came with another thing that came with retirement and being 60 is that people go, oh, I wouldn't know what to do. I couldn't give up work. I wouldn't know what to do. And the implication is you're lazy. You're being lazy. If you don't want to work, you're being lazy. Well, I always say, do you know what? I don't know how I ever had time to go to work. I don't know how I ever had time because now you just find new things to do. You're available for people. So you'll go for coffee with people. You know, you just catch up with people. You'll see something on that's in a local thing, say like, I don't know, there's an event on, maybe there's a gallery opening or, you know, a museum or something, a promotion in a shopping centre. You think, I think I'll go to that. I'll go to that. You couldn't do it when you were working. And I always say, I don't know how I had time to go to work. And as I say, I enter competitions. It's my big hobby, as well as going to football matches. And I thought, right, when I retire, I'll do hours of competitions. I'll win everything and that. I do less now than I did when I work because I just always seem to find other things to do. So your energy shifts and you don't have as much, but I think you use it more wisely. Like I say, I like to have a slow morning, slow start, have a drink. I use that time sometimes to write lists. I'll come back to lists, write lists, plan my day, plan my week. Like if I'm doing a YouTube, think about what I'm going to say, have an idea for some topics. And I like to think about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to fill my day. I take that time to think about it. So you use it more wisely. And then I tend to start. I often say that my working hours are 10 while 2 or 10 while 3. I always say I go into the bedroom about 10 because I laugh sometimes at. I'll go, oh, I'm late for work. Just stupid things. So I tend to have a gentler, do some lot of activity. I often prepare evening meal, dinner in the morning, put it in the slow cooker, or you know, get it prepared or things like that. Veg chopped, things like that. I tend to do that. You know, use it wisely, get it done, because I know come afternoon I'm starting to fade a bit. I need to rest, so I tend to do that. Do things differently. You use it wisely. I think the big thing is, I said before, I think I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I think you learn you can say no. Do you know you can say no to do things, and you know that for you coming to 60. Please learn it's not negative to say no. And if some people are offended by you saying no, well, do you know what? There's not a lot you can do about it, really, is there? You have that confidence to think, well, I don't want to. And you can do more things of what you want to do. Like I say, you get lots of new hobbies. And I'll come down to that in a minute. And that gives you more time to do that rather than say yes to doing something that you're doing out of politeness for a friend or a relative. And then you think, nah, don't want to. No, do you mind if I don't do that? I've got something else on or whatever. I'm looking at my notes as well. You do see beauty differently. Again, going back to the age thing, you know, the fact that you've got a few more lines, the fact that you don't have the figure that you had, you know, you just think, well, yeah, just grasp it. Just grasp it. You are what nature is intending you to be. You know, you look at things like that. You know, I think you do stop criticising yourself. I'm my biggest critic. I used to be stick thin and I've got so much weight on. You've seen me in my videos, boobs, belly, bum. I've got the whole set. And I can be the worst critic. You know, I'm a big one for like social media, photographs, Instagram, and I haven't done a look and I think, oh God, they are horrendous. Says me who's parading about in pajamas that are too tight in some of my try-on videos. Where that I got the confidence to do that, I don't know. But I think you do stop criticising yourself a bit. And I mean, luckily, I've got John who's very good. And he says, Elaine, we're not, 16 anymore. He said, I'm not the size, I'm not as thin as I was. You are what you are. And I think we like to go to, say, Spain, Benidorm, not the madness of Benidorm, but the nice sort of Spanish side of Benidorm. You look at a lot of the ladies over there, and they all promenade all day walking up and down. I look at them and I think, do you know what? Why am I being hard on myself? Because how many of them have got big boobs, big belly? Naturally, I think I should have been Spanish, because the majority of Spanish women seem to have my body shape, but they look smart and they wear nice colours and they parade about in trainers, comfy shoes, but they'll have the scarf, they'll have a little bag. And I think they look gorgeous. You don't only look at the youngsters, you look at them and think, yeah, don't be hard. You can still look smart and stylish. It doesn't mean to say that you've given up on life. And your best beauty secret is confidence. Absolutely confidence. You're not scared to smile at people, say hello to people. You might think, well, look, a dowdy old woman. But even if you've done it when you meet, because I go on the football terraces, so you meet somebody down on the concourse, a lad who's a bit of a lad, a bit of a geezer, a bit of a scally, but a laugh and a quick word or something about them, and they laugh and go, oh, yeah, you're right, love, and because you're confident, and then they don't see you as that old fuddy-duddy. So a lot of that, your beauty comes from your confidence and that. I'm waffling a bit here, aren't I? But, this is my life, what I think about life in the 60s. Now, I'll come back to that you keep learning. And you know what? To me, that's my biggest secret. It's never too late to learn something new. And this is what, like I say, other friends who don't move on to new things, I don't think they quite grasp that. The new hobbies and interests that I've done, while I've not been, while I've had the time off. When you work, I don't know if any of you ever had this, but some days you go to work in the morning and you think, I'd give anything just to have a day to sit and read the books, watch the films I've always wanted to see. And, you think, guess what? Get to 60 and you can do that. And that is lovely. And I've got to say that I feel with my 60s, I think it's a brand new start. I think it's a brand new start for me, a brand new start. I've redefined how I look. I've redefined some of my friends, redefined some of my hobbies. And I like it. I think, like I say, I worked in nursing and medicine for nearly 40 years. And before that, I was a civil servant. You're entrenched in what you do. You also become a bit competitive career-wise. You're constantly trying to improve new courses, do whatever. You want to get a promotion. You want to move on. I did anyway. I'm a Leo. I'm very, very competitive. And I did end up as a very senior nurse, about one of the most senior you could get clinically, because I was driven and I was competitive. But you become that person, that all-consuming person. And I don't see many of my ex-colleagues anymore. See them on social media. I have one that I'm in touch with regularly. She was become one of my best friends. I'm a different person. I don't think they'd know me, some of the things. And I don't dwell on the past. I was a nurse for nearly 40 years. I was proud to be. I loved it. But that episode has closed. Some people cling to it. I don't. That's closed. That was a different person. That was a different person. I'm not that person anymore. I don't even know how I was ever that disciplined, really. I don't know. I look back and I think, did I really do that? Was I really that person? And I'm not scared to let that go in the past. I can look back on it. I've got great memories, great stories. I've met some fantastic people, but I'm not that person anymore. I'm the new Elaine. I'm new. I do different things. I have more time to spend. on, beauty and fashions, and I watch TikTok and I watch YouTube beauty. I look around for, like I say, I want to have a champagne lifestyle on a lemonade budget. I like to be that person. In fact, a lot of my friends now will ask me, if I'm looking for such a thing, I'm like, have you any idea what I should use? And asking me about holidays. What do you think about do that? I think people know that I have I've learned a lot of new interests, a lot of new things. And I find like, well, I don't think I'm a trendsetter, but a lot of people now appreciate that I've got a lot of new information and um, ask me because new hobbies and interests and that. Because I started my family tree in retirement. Oh my God, I must bore people to death with that. I found cousins that I've lost touch with. I've got a new members of my family. And I've learned so much about the family, and I can waffle on for hours about people. This is one, all right, I'm going to talk about my family tree, but this is one thing, and I've only just found out something this week. Obviously, my mum, my dad, my brother, my family unit have all gone. I'm the last woman standing. Even cousins now are dropping off one by one. Although I found another two, but they're dropping off one by one. And I always knew that my mum was Adeline. And my mum's mum was Adeline. And I thought it was an unusual name. And I used to think, oh, thank God I wasn't called Adeline. But you know what? I wish I was. Because recently I found out that my mum had a cousin called Adeline, and that Adeline had a child called Adeline. I feel left out. I feel like I'm the only one that's not an Adeline. And it's becoming quite popular, particularly in Canada. So that's something like, you learn something new. And this is Family Tree. I learn new things. I learned a lot on the techie side. Look at this. I'm doing a YouTube channel. I'm struggling with the editing, let me tell you. But I'm learning. I'm learning new things. I like to do a lot of quizzes, watch TV quizzes, knowledge. I've got a huge interest in vintage black and white films. Absolutely. My mum brought me up on that. Hi, my camera stopped working again then. So, yeah, I like to watch black and white films. So, you get new hobbies and interests and books and films, and you just get to be you. And you don't stop growing. You just grow differently. I mean, I start growing continuously size wise. I always come back to that. I've got a real hang up about it. But yeah, you don't stop growing. I think some people think it's like, oh God, it's awful. I'm 60. I'm coming up to a pensioner. Do you know? I grasp it. I absolutely grasp it. And I know it's weird. I think these are the best quality years of my life, being in my 60s. I really, really do. Um, it's not been without its difficulties. You lose relatives along the way. The older you get, it statistically, to me, and I lost my brother, who it broke me for a while. It did break me for a while, but you have to be a little bit pragmatic, and it is life. You just have to clutch onto that fantastic that you had him. He had a huge influence on me. I'm just grateful that he was my brother. He was in my life. So, you have some dark days and things, and you're not as well. John has a couple of health issues. I do. But you could have that as a young person. But I just think I don't have a lot of the mental health. I mean, I could say I have anxiety. A lot of that was to do with Alan. But you don't have a lot of the mental health hang up. So you feel brighter. You do feel a better person. I actually think, like I said, I think these are some of the best years of my life. I think they're full of fun, freedom, beauty, laughter. They're just some of the best things that the best things you can do for yourself. I don't know. I think we should just celebrate the wisdom that comes with our age, the fun. We've all got anecdotes. You all think, like, I don't know, say, I feel like I might be speaking out of turn here, but I think there's a little bit of is there a bit of a divide coming in the country between, a lot of the problems are being aimed at us, the elderly, our pension, should we have it, should we have it, the youngsters should have it. And I know particularly with some family members, when they're talking about things that are going on in life, it's as if, no, you don't know, you see, you don't understand, we were taught this in school, and you went, I do know, because if you're talking about something, you think, but I lived through it. You know, we lived through these things when we were younger. We've seen it with our own hand. We've seen the effect that things like racism, transgender, things like that. And it's as if, do you not think we don't know about them? Do you know what I mean? Do you not think we haven't all come across somebody who was transgender when we were younger? Yet they stood out a bit because, you know, you'd be like, oh, there's that lady that always dresses as a man. We didn't bat an eyelid because that's what it was. You know, my mum would have been 100 now, you know, and you just think some of the things, she was so wise, and it's, even though she was a bit of a nutter in it, but she was very easygoing. Oh yeah, nothing really shocked her about people, and it's as if we don't know these things. Whereas you think we can tell you stories, we can tell you funny stories about, you know, different people or experiences that we've had, some negative, some positive, and I hate that they think we're a bit, and we don't know what we're doing, and we don't understand, you know, this gammon and Karen and all that. I find that so insulting, personally. You know, there might be individuals who are a gammon and a Karen who are a bit fuddy-duddy, who are a bit judgmental. I know some myself, but on the whole, I don't think we're not. I think we're quite funny, and I think we've seen a lot, we've experienced a lot. So, you know, enjoy it. Enjoy all the things that we know. Um, oh, I know what I've not told you. Do you know what the biggest thing I've learned? One of the biggest things I've learned in my 60s, you need lists. You need lists more than ever. Because, particularly the menopause, that's the only thing is that does decline, I think, is your memory. I know you can go on to have, God forbid, dementia or anything, but I think your memory naturally. So I have to have things on lists. I have like a to-do list constantly. I have a shopping list. I mean, that's great. And I know a lot of people make the lists on the phone. I don't. I'm still a pen and paper girl. I love a pen. I love a paper. I love a notebook. But if you forget to take your shopping list out with you, you're stuffed, aren't you? Absolutely and utterly stuffed. And you tend to forget things that you used to do before, or you think, I won't forget. I won't write that down because I won't forget it. Well, you do. Let me tell you an anecdote of sort of forgetting something. We were going over to visit my nephew who's now living in Ireland with his family, and I usually check things 100 times. I'm the person with whatever. This time I got a bit blasé. I thought, we're only going from Manchester to Knock. Easy peasy. I didn't check. We tend to get a taxi to the station and get the train over to the airport. I didn't check the time like we normally do. And when I got there, we had a half an hour wait, which was cutting it fine to check in at the airport. But did I go and check my phone? No. Do I always check? No. Did I look at what I'd written down? Did I look at what I'd printed? No. So just as we were getting in quickly in the airport, I looked at what gate number we were at, and I went, right, we're gate something. I think I said 51. I think I said 50. So anyway, that was fine. Then there was a competition, and you had to buy. It was a competition run by Cadbury's at Manchester Airport. You had to go and buy some chocolate. So I said, "Oh, go on into that company, go and get some chocolate." So it was busy. Blah blah blah. Then the self-check wouldn't work, and whatever. So then John's had it. You know, we're cutting it late. So we went to 50. And John said, we could have been in this Clue. I could have been on the plane waiting for you. He was the one that said, oh, go and get that chocolate. But then in the end, he was like, hurry up. So we're in this queue, checking queue. I didn't look at anything in my hand, ticket, boarding, anything. Get to the queue, and I'm thinking, and unbeknownst to he's thinking the same thing. You think, there's a lot of youngsters going to Knock this weekend, you know. They're all bits. There's something on there, whatever. Get to the front, go to scan the boarding passes, and the hostess shouldn't say that, that's old, isn't it? And that can be seen as a bit derogatory. But the member of the airline crew who were at the thing said, you're not on this flight. I went, what? They went, where are you going? I said, and he said, this is the Dublin flight. Well, that accounted for all the young girls look like they're going away on a hen weekend. He said, you're at 51, the next one, you better run quick now. So we legged it along, and I was like, oh my God. We get there. They'd shut. They went, no, you're too late. We've closed check-in. The plane was still on the tarmac. They went, no, you're too late. We went, but we're here. I'm really sorry. We were in. I hadn't checked it. And that's my memory that I didn't. I would remember the number. I would remember everything. But I didn't. And I didn't check anything. So we missed that flight. So my nephew said, text me when you're boarding and I'll be there to pick you up. So I texted him, we're boarding now. And then I texted him, just as I was walking, and I went, no, we're not. And he rang me and went, you're joking. I went, I'm telling you, we haven't. I've got it wrong. First time in 60 odd years, I missed a check-in. But so you do have some negative moments when you think, oh my God. Anyway, it was okay. We just had to go over to get the train over to Liverpool, and we picked one up at Liverpool at lunchtime. So we got there in the end. But I'll tell you what I did learn about this, and this was Ryanair. I don't know why I'm throwing this at the end of this thing, but so started looking on Skyscanner to try and get a flight then, because I knew there was a flight at Liverpool in the afternoon. So I looked at the flight. I looked before he even left, as if to say, oh, just in case anything goes wrong with Liverpool. And it was £300 odd, which is very expensive. Did I know I was going to miss it? What made me check it? That was the only thing I did check all day when I was waiting at the station in the morning. I thought, oh my God, I didn't tell John. I thought, I'm going to have to pay it. We're going to have to go over. He's had it. Oh, that's it. Now we'll just go home. And I'm like, oh no, I really wanted to go. And I know my nephew would be disappointed if we didn't go. Anyway, a security guard had to march us out from airside to the arrivals. We had to be taken through all these locked areas, security areas and that. Anyway, he said, whatever you do, don't buy a flight. Don't go online on the aircraft. So go into arrivals hall. There is a Ryanair kiosk. They said, go there and get your flights there. They cannot charge you more than £100 a flight. So when I'd looked on Skyscanner, again, they'd gone to £700 because they were only a couple of hours away. £700. But he said to us, don't go to the kiosk. So, and we got flights for £200. It was £200 that we shouldn't really have had to pay, because I should have been. And I know John is partly responsible, but he trusts me. He trusts me because I'm never wrong, except on this occasion. So £200. But if you're ever stuck like that, go to the airport, go to the kiosks, don't go online to these money spinning companies. So that was it. So yeah, there are downsides to 60s. You do make mistakes that you've probably never done in your life before. But you know what? I think we've got the maturity, the wisdom to laugh it off and think, there's worse things that happen out there than what we've done. And we laugh about it now. I mean, nephew laughed about it. He went, I can't believe he did that. Anyway, I think I've chatted on. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Like it. If you want to hear more of my stupid waffling, then please subscribe. I'd love that. I'd like to see you back for more conversation. I've always got a few topics to come to. And I'm going to do a lot more about style, confidence, 60s, downsizing, retirement, plus the odd clothing haul. So let me know in the comments below, tell me one thing that you've learned in your 60s that nobody told you before, that you weren't prepared for. Let me know any of your anecdotes. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear our stories. And I want to champion the over 60s woman. We've got a lot to offer there, ladies. And the over 60s man. Look at my husband. Fun. Still laugh over stupid things. So, at 60, as you're getting older, you're getting close to your pension, you're going to retirement. It's not the end of your life. It's the start of another new one. Anyway, with that now, I'm gonna go. So thank you so much for your patience and for listening along. All right, now, see you on the next one. Bye-bye.